whatever milestones that Black people make against hate, it ends up benefiting all the other people of color. I can't see what his end game is. The Republican Party is the party of racism, is the party of white supremacy, is the party of hate. This is wrong, and it needs to stop.
Everybody wants to go back and drag that piece of history up, but they don't want to go back and deal with what their ancestors did to the indigenous people and to Black people in this country. You got to go. And you got billionaires talking about going to space and Jeff Bezos, go, never come back. I hope you get lost. This man has lost his mind.
Boom! Come on, girlfriend. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and I host the only online conversation in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dads Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and through that collaboration this year with that team, been able to reach out to over 100,000 dads and fathers around the world. Very happy about that. But none of that's important tonight because it's Saturday night. It's 9 p.m. It's State of Things with Aisha and Jill, and they're going to burn it up because even up to about a few hours ago, we just had another story we're actually going to lead off with, because usually Saturday is a quiet news day. But we got something that I'm sure everyone's going to want to talk about or heard about in the next few minutes. So let's bring up Aisha and Jill.
Hey, we're all festive tonight. Aisha looks very beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And you've got your
the crown, the Candy King crown.
Candy cane. Yeah.
Very nice. What's been going on this week, ladies?
What happened?
Same old stuff, same old stuff.
But
other scenarios, but basically the same dysfunction is still going on.
Actually, I had some interesting things happen this week. Obviously because of the pandemic. Well, because of the pandemic, I hadn't seen my dentist for about 2 years.
Yeah, welcome to my world.
Yeah, and I was sort of verging going, cavities. The nice thing is I've had the same dentist for at least 25 years.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
beautiful
really,
man,
wow.
Born in Haiti, very passionate about helping out Haitians. He's actually the Haitian consulate representative for Haiti in Toronto. Talks very nice, speaks wonderful French, etc. And it was most people I know, well, a lot of people don't like going to the dentist. I love going to my dentist because he's such a nice guy. We have great conversations and no cavities. Yay. only had 2 in my life. Right. And then, and just a lot. I was happy about it. It was good to see him again. But if anyone hasn't gone to the dentist since COVID, it's a whole different procedure. I had to put on plastic on my feet,
on glasses.
Your feet. Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, well, over my shoes.
Oh, wow.
The protocols in Canada must be different.
Yeah, we had to put plastic over my shoes. Had to wear the plastic glasses.
I'm gonna have to go. I haven't.
Yeah,
I went. The same boat.
I went at the beginning of this year, and they were covered like it was like you see the hazmat people. That's what the dentist looked like. I had on well, I didn't have on the mask, but he had on the shield.
Yeah.
And everything. And
wow, yeah, my dentist
I was
did
covered.
the
only thing that was visible, they put this thing over me, so the only thing that was visible was just my face.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool, and I spent some time today with a gentleman who does real estate in Canada, the United States, Belize, throughout the Caribbean, and brought a lady that I'm mentoring because she wants it to get, well, she's into real estate. She wants to eventually help mothers get into real estate and get their wealth through real estate, and had an incredible, we thought it was only going to be for an hour, with 2.5 hours. He just shared his life story, the ups, the downs, the etc. It was really, really nice. Really beautiful day. Beautiful day.
Good. Nice. Sounds like you had a good one.
Oh, hey, it was the appetizer, because I know this is the main course. And look who's here already. Black Beauty. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's been an interesting week of the Cray Party, aka the Republican Party. Well,
I just think that everybody is absolutely crazy.
Oh, you sure now?
Well, both sides are starting to really annoy the hell out of me. And I mean, extreme liberals, all of them, all of the above, I'm annoyed with. Just, I don't have the energy anymore to, I know what I know what I like, I know what I want to do. And, if I keep getting kicked back from these extreme liberals and your millennials and your Gen Zs and all of that stuff, I'm a vote just to mess it up.
Well, you know what? And Jill, I follow both of you on Twitter. I saw a tweet you put out this week saying you weren't going to vote Democratic.
Not locally. No, no, I voted for Gascon, and I'm not happy about it. Our Attorney General. I think he's weak. And thank God Eric Garcetti's gone or leaving. There is an echo, right? I'm glad he's going because he's useless. And and when they're writing these propositions about the bail thing and all of that, they're always written like in reverse. Basically, it's just trickery, and I'm done with it. I will not say that I'll just vote. I'll blanket, all the Democrats and say I'm not going to vote for them. But I will say that we need people who are really tough on crime. We just do, because I don't think that people are at a position. I just don't think that we're in a position to rely. We can't rely on the police. We can't rely on a lot of things. A lot of people don't even know in America, our policemen are not constitutionally bound to protect us. Specifically, there's 4 criteria that they have to meet. And I think it has to come with, you have to run and say, I need your help. You have to prove also that you have relinquished whatever your other options were going to be. This is all because of tort law. And then you have to basically be like, I stopped, trying to defend myself because I relied on you to protect me. There's 4 basic things of criteria. I can't remember all the other ones, but we're in a really strange state with that. They do not have to. And I believe that they're not. I believe that they're not risking their lives. It's actually quite interesting if you do read about the tort laws in different states. And yes, they all pretty similarly have the 4 criteria, but it's getting to the point where everybody's become aware and been like, oh, really? I don't have to. So I won't.
It's interesting. We haven't talked about it deeply, but still you don't hear anything about defund the police anymore.
You shouldn't. After what happened with Jacqueline Avant and Clarence Avant,
oh wow,
for me was why I went as far as what I said.
Wow, that
about
story.
Them releasing this guy who I think every case is very, in my opinion, I actually only think that the people who should be paroled are people who were dealing weed or something, because it's legal now. I think that for me is like, okay. But when you look at somebody's rap sheet like this killer, I don't understand. He couldn't spend more than 4 months out of jail on parole. So I don't get it. And I'm not down for that. I'm just not. I think that the bleeding heart liberals, which I will call them that at this point, are going too far. It's like, somebody wrote a book I don't know. She's from Harvard. And what the hell are they teaching people at Harvard? African-American woman just wrote a book. I wish I could remember, about how we can get to the point where we don't need the slave patrol anymore. We don't need any police whatsoever. I personally think that this lunacy has got to stop. That's a little bit much. And if the Democratic Party is going to start scooting into those areas, I won't be a member of it. I won't be a part of that party, because it's not perfect yet. And we're not there yet. No, that actually just did me in. No, we have a crime wave going on out in California at the moment, and it's not even funny. So if our AG can't do stuff, then you know what? Then we will show it in the way we vote, and it won't be for, that. I won't go. It can't be soft, because it's human beings. At the end of the day, it's not always just the politicians. We got some really crappy people out here in the world.
Aisha, want to add anything? We haven't started yet, folks.
Yeah.
But it's a good conversation, because, a year ago or 2 years ago, all you heard was defund the police, defund the police.
Well, Democrats stayed away from that because they saw that it lost them elections. That's the first thing first reason they got rid of it. I think that when you look, it's like, we've got to do something about our policing system. That's the systemic part, but getting rid of the system altogether, I mean, it has to be done. It has to be done responsibly, because then you have people like DeSantis who want to have their own police that only answer to them, and we know the harm that's going to do if he gets that. Mm-hmm. So it really, there's no balance anywhere. People are at extremes on both sides.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Black Beauty says, I just pray the DOJ steps in and sets up provisions that allow our votes to count. Be mindful, we still haven't dealt with the Republican successful gerrymandering of many of our districts.
Well, that's because, they're not maybe moving fast enough, or they're not really taking care of business. I mean, surely if I just don't know what they're doing. Always hawking me for some more money. I'm just not really. You've got to do more for me and for us, I believe, And like I told Gavin Newsom, after what the EDD is doing with people going in and asking them to prove, that they were self-employed and all of that. I get there are people that are criminals and all that kind of nonsense. And I know you have to research it. But by the same token, you didn't have any other plans for the people that probably needed that money as well. And if you really take that out of the equation and look at it, then what the hell did you do? We still have homeless people. And by the way, a lot of people donated money that they were getting from the EDD to his recall campaign. So, and now he wants more money. It's like, B, you need to check yourself, because that ain't going to fly right now. It ain't flying at all.
I hope one day someone, what's the guy who does Michael Moore? I would love him to do a documentary on the money given out during the pandemic, because I'm hearing more and more every time I'm hearing scarier and scarier stories. Like, what's
well,
her
they
name?
Need to focus on the senators and how much money they get.
What's her name? Your favorite, Marjorie.
Taylor
She
Greene.
got money.
Of course, but Dr.
Marjorie.
Vibe, go find out how much Kristen Sinema made. If your role models and your leaders are doing things, why are you going to come for regular people when you guys are doing the same? I mean, illegally bartering and negotiating our lives away. So I'm sorry. As far as I'm concerned, call it an L and move on. Because the reality is you can't sit up there and whip people for something that you actually do too.
Well, you know what? Tonight we have a fourth person on stage, though they're not in the screen. Black Beauty is on fire tonight. She's asking, yeah, it's ugly, it's negative, but regardless, unless and until it's dealt with, it's real. And then she has a question for both of you. Question for Aisha and or Jill. Do you guys have any insight on why the voting issue isn't being challenged? Please bring me up to speed. I'm not even hearing anything about it.
No.
The filibuster, they can't do anything as long as they have to vote on getting rid of the filibuster, and they can't bring that to the floor to a vote because they don't have the votes. They need a 2/3 majority in order to pass that. So they can't even begin to bring voting to the table. And this is in the Senate because they don't have the numbers to get rid of the filibuster.
Right. And Kristen Sinema tweeting out about Rosa Parks and all of that. You know, that's how disingenuous she is, and that's how wicked she is, because
she's an attention whore.
She does it on purpose, and she is an attention whore. It's true. But there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them these days, and I'm curious what's going to happen once Jack leaves Twitter, to really see what is Trump back on. Are we going to start like getting rid of certain senators' accounts and different things? What are we going to see after all of this?
Yeah, I started researching his the person who's following him to kind of figure out where he's at on certain things. And it seems like he's on, like, definitely keeping Trump off.
Okay, good.
All right. Well, let's get to our regularly scheduled program. But this was a good warm-up. So it happened this afternoon, folks. Don't know if you heard. Chris Cuomo has been fired by CNN. Ladies, justified? Yes or no? What are your takes?
I think so. I mean, from a business standpoint, he's a journalist, and I get that was his brother, and he wanted to help his brother. He's an attorney, but he didn't take a leave of absence. He used his work, his job, his connections through work to, push for his brother's defense. He used inroads with other reporters to get information on the young lady involved, and that right there was unethical for his workplace.
What information how did he get this information? That I'm just curious, that a regular search online wouldn't pull up, or
he went to other
what actually did he?
He went to other reporters he knew that were breaking stories.
And how is that wrong, though?
He went under his CNN affiliation.
But I'm still not quite following. They all sort of share stories, so.
But that's against journalistic integrity. If he was using it to do a story, then that's one thing. He was using it for personal gain.
Or family gain.
Or for family gain.
So let me expand on this. Was CNN wrong right in the first place having them together on television?
I don't think so, but typically networks kind of try and stay away from that. Remember when Melissa Harris Perry was on, she had her husband on once and did full disclosure and did not let that communication verge into the entertainment kind of family back and forth. They were having a serious discussion on something in education at the time, but that was the only time that he was on. I think that CNN allowed that for ratings.
Of course.
Remember, it was like, oh, the Cuomo brothers, the Love Gov and his brother, his silly little brother. They did that for ratings. At one point, the president of CNN also needs to take responsibility because Chris is his boy. That was his friend. And he actually turned the other way while some of the unethical things were going on. And so now that it's caught up to him and it's bad business, and that all the networks know this is what's going on, and all of the people who work for CNN, it calls their credibility into question as well. So he had to fire him.
Yeah. I mean,
Chill
probably
thoughts.
so. I mean, I'm not really, I don't watch CNN anymore. So because I have my own things that they always play, devil's advocate, and they also straddle the fence a lot. And I don't know who they are. And they're partially, I've always struggled with the fact that they really helped us to have Donald Trump in the first place. So I still haven't really recovered from that. I just think they're sometimey. The network is too sometimey for me, because really even having the two brothers on, in my opinion, may have not, like, it was for ratings, but it was a conflict already. So technically, you know, I just think, I don't know. I don't know anymore who the network is at CNN. I don't know. I don't know who they are.
Well, you know, I stopped watching Chris Cuomo when he had Rhodey Bryan, one of the men who was convicted of murdering
absolutely
on his show, when he was claiming that he was just a person. He just happened to be driving by and saw this video, took the video and everything,
right.
And did not press him when his story started to fall apart.
Right.
And I was like, okay.
He never pressed anybody. That's the whole thing. His show, he never pressed anybody, but he always brought everybody on the show to let's hear their side. And frankly, I mean, is he that great of a journalist? Because he clearly, even in his shows, he his own research, if he was doing research on his brother like he did for his own shows with that Roddy thing, then his brother didn't have a chance in hell.
And this is the problem, right? Is that he brought his brother on to talk about like COVID in New York and some other things. But when the story broke about his brother, the first thing he says is, I can't cover that because it's my brother.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, but it's just, that's just what you do.
And they have
your family.
Yeah, I mean, the other side of it too is that they have emails of him sending emails from CNN's email server to people to get information, like to his brother's office and to his brother's senior advisor. That's where those things started to unravel.
Not smart.
True.
Not smart.
True.
Not smart at all. Like, really and truly, not smart at all. Black Beauty says this. Seems he was trying to influence other reporters not to report on certain matter pertaining to the investigation.
Yeah. I mean, that's a mistake always, you know, that is, that's.
And trying to get the timing of when the stories were going to drop so that he'd give his brother a heads up. That was the other thing he was doing.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, it's not like the show was pulling in that many ratings anyway, from what I gather. So
actually, it was their highest rated show. It was.
Was it really?
Yes.
Oh my God, I had no idea.
That's why the CEO of CNN was reluctant to suspend him.
Is it Zucker? Is that the guy's name? Zucker? Make Zucker.
Oh, I had no idea. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I lied.
He was their number one show.
Yep.
Then I don't know.
So they had a monetary reason in the beginning. January this started going down, to not really to kind of look the other way. Not to mention that Chris Cuomo and Zucker are very good friends.
But you guys know how I feel about the victim mentality going on in the country. I not that, I have my own shit that went down and I could talk at length about it, and maybe one day I will, just because we're at that moment in history. But I've always thought that it's better to be victorious rather than a victim. And there's a lot of it, and a lot of it comes across disingenuous. A lot of it comes across that, I don't know who to believe. I mean, the people, you don't know who anybody is. We don't know full stories. The courts are completely corrupt. Yeah. I don't even know anymore. I mean, honestly, I just don't know. The courts are ridiculous and they're a joke. And
I just started reading documents.
And I also think there's such a mess with what's legal, what's law, what's all of this stuff. And I don't even think the law is being enforced properly. I just don't know anymore. And I'm just whatever, I've got to keep my sanity, because if you really think about every day you want to be triggered online about something.
Letitia James released thousands of pages of information on Chris Cuomo's actions.
Yes.
Just it was ridiculous. It was like what, something like almost 2,000 pages.
Yeah, I'm just so not interested in Letitia James dealing with this. She had one job. So I'm off her too.
Well, it's gonna be interesting to see. I don't think she's gonna win the Democratic nomination for New York State.
She's not.
But my question is, what is her next move?
I don't know. But
here's
she better.
The thing. I don't think we know. I don't think we know. You got to remember, we're looking at this as people who don't live in New York State.
Right.
We really don't know what New York State people will think, because to be honest, the lieutenant governor, I was very surprised that she was voted, that New Yorkers voted for her too. Remember, it's like there's a lot of people who are are happy with what she did with the Cuomos. And we'll vote for her on that principle. I mean, I really don't think, because when you sit and you think, and I'm thankful that I'm this close, that I do get local New York news. But when you look at who they have as, real bona fide people that are within the state, they're not people we know on a national level. Right. And there really isn't anyone that they've been really talking about but Letitia James.
Well, isn't it interesting? 2 years ago, would you think you would see the downfall of the Cuomo brothers?
No.
Republicans got to be really happy.
Of course. But it's not like, the Democrats really have been taking down who they need to take down. And that's a problem for me, because it's tit for tat. Because you would think that the Democratic Party is the only one doing dirty.
Exactly.
And if Letitia's smart, she'll set up a sting operation at the next Republican convention in New York City, if they do it there. And let's see. She'll go roping up people and find out and show people what the average New Yorker knows when they come into town.
But if I'm not mistaken, she's not trying to run for AG next go around. She's trying to run for something else.
We heard that she's trying to run for governor.
Yes, Letitia's running for governor. Yeah,
and that she won't. I don't think she'll do it.
I don't think she'll beat the.
I don't think so.
I think and she's
because now what that is what that means is, I'm going to play both ends against the middle to get the right to vote for me and the left. So I'm not going to go for Donald Trump at the moment.
The other side of it too is that if she ran in a primary, she's running against a weak candidate. That's the linchpin there.
Who is she running against?
Against the current governor.
Is she even going to run?
She is running.
Yes,
yeah, she's running.
She's running for a full term.
Kathy Hochul.
She hasn't done anything wrong. I mean,
she hasn't done anything wrong, but New Yorkers, the Democratic Party there.
I just think that because she didn't deliver Trump's head on a platter, from what I've been reading online and different things, a lot of people said they won't vote for her. Because then now they know she's just a politician. She always has been. Yeah,
all these elected
they all are.
Offices are. I think people go into the vote knowing that they're all.
But haven't we said that attorneys have ruined the world? Like they're all
lawyers,
the grossest things.
All right, let's go to, I think, the best reality show TV going on right now. James and Jennifer Crumbley, the parents of Michigan high school shooting suspect Ethan Crumbley, entered not guilty pleas to all charges against them during their arraignment. This story is like, what next? Like, this is just a cray-cray story.
It is.
I say lock them all up and throw away the key.
Oh, but look, the parents buy a gun. Was it Black Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did.
Son goes in and kills 4 people.
He
at a
takes it
school.
from
But
their
before
drawer.
that, you have to get to the part before that. Before that, he got caught in school searching for ammunition on his phone or online or something. That's what got him to the principal's office in the first place. And then, you know, he was known to have he had a long list of behavior issues at school. The teachers, the principals were telling him, his parents, please take him home. They refused and had him sent back to class. He had the gun in his backpack already. And then he
also had told the teachers that he was hearing voices and he needed help. And yeah, the parents refused to take him home.
And that's the sad part, is that people are like, well, you know, the educators didn't. You can only help kids, but so much. They're minors. They're under the charge of their parents. If the parents don't agree to do certain things, your hands as an official, an educational person are tied.
But it doesn't matter. You know, if I went on the lam or a Black person went on the lam, they are out on bond.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They got released. So this is why nobody takes our country seriously on any level anymore. It's just like jokes, got jokes for days. The saddest part is at some point you just have to accept it and go, I accept this. It doesn't mean that you can't try to keep changing it, but you have to know that there's always somebody at every turn. As much as the Michigan DA wants to do the right thing and found this obscure kind of law with the way she's charging, but to have a judge who is least than progressive in his mindset or even cognition about what just took place, we don't have a great checks and balances system here in this country, even to get rid of a piece of shit like that, who just let them off. Because they should all be sitting in jail, all 3 family members.
But remember this, people kept turning their heads away when everyone's saying it's the judges, it's the Trump judges, it's the Trump judges. And people kept ignoring that call in him, in that part, that danger of him. And so this judge, the parents' attorney asked for $100,000 bond.
Right.
And the judge said no, but he upped it to $500,000. How quickly do you think the Oath Keepers and the Boogaloo Boys and the Proud Boys will raise that money for them to be out by the end of next week?
Well, it's an interesting thing. And this is what I heard today, some people talking about. See, this is where there's an opportunity here for a little bit of bipartisanship here. And yes, we're seeing, of course, will you defend these people based upon what? Even for the right? Because the one place where they all agree, you know, of course, the Democrats want gun control. And the Republicans, this part of what happened kind of goes against a little bit of their family values nonsense that they try to push forth. This is kind of a very interesting, if they politicize that she's charging them, then that might be how it goes, and expect Marjorie Taylor Greene to jump on that horn. However, there were 4 kids who did die. I don't know which senators are going to want to really stand up there, but there probably will be a few. The problem is that they all agree that guns, one thing they agree on where there are no real laws in Michigan about this, is that your gun has to be locked up and stored properly. And if anything, any of the gun laws that are across the United States, that's one where they've all agreed. They need to just push that through first. You know, at this point, it's like, because then there's that responsibility, but where it becomes the parent's responsibility. What she's doing is pretty amazing, but it's not wrong. It's not wrong either. It's just on the fine line of the law, that because of the extenuating circumstances, it's not like every other shooter that they'll be able to charge, but don't think that they won't try in other states. But the fact of how the woman sent the emails to her kid, and just in whatever they're discovering as they, you know, search them and all of this stuff, to see that the mother and the father and to how negligent they were. And the real question was what really screwed them is that the son took the gun they claim from their drawer. We don't really know if that gun was given to him because on his own Instagram page, he said it was his. Now, what ultimately happened is that the mother was with him also posing with the gun and going along with whatever he had written. And for 2 days, there were posts about this. And so that's why they can go on this law about their negligence, because it was pretty apparent. It was clear. And there are also, he was exhibiting all the traits, especially when he said, I need help. I hear voices in my head. That was what he told the school, I think with the mother and the father in the room. And then he proceeded to go out and kill everybody.
It's the sad part though is that the parents are going to get more time for fleeing than they will get for
manslaughter.
For manslaughter, unless they are charged with conspiracy.
But this judge is not going to be assigned to the case, is he? Who is the judge assigned?
Not necessarily. We don't know who the judge is going to be assigned to it because they've only gotten to the indictment part. But I mean, the part about the manslaughter thing, that's going to be one of those things that the GOP is going to jump on. Why? Because the gun lobby is going to line their pockets to do it, because it is one of their things. I think back to when Sandy Hook happened here, and the one thing that I paid attention to was that the shooter, who bought his guns? His mother. She was also the first person he killed. Why? Because she would have stopped him.
They say that that's typically what happens with shooters in these mass scales, that, but therefore then they know that obviously that's typically what happened. But this situation is very different. They also have the blogs and the things to Donald Trump that the woman, the wife, the mother was sending to him. And, there is a psychology, there's something that was happening in that household. And I don't know if it gives the defense something to work with separately as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a very sad situation, and there's really nothing anybody can do. I just this is our country. This is America.
Honestly, I have a hard time feeling sorry for the young man because there are 4 kids who are also dead. And it's a testament to how shitty his parents are. The fact that they left him. Oh, he got arrested. They left. They were trying to
they broke out, honey, right?
Right. They were very close to the border to Canada. Mm-hmm. The only thing is that they didn't have any vaccination record.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Catch up with you.
It's ridiculous. They were supposed to turn themselves in, and their defense attorney really wants people to believe that.
Oh, he was lost yesterday. He had no clue, did he not? And he was stalling, and he should have come clean and said, "I don't know where they are," because he really didn't. He didn't, and he didn't know they were coming back. And
now we have this female defense attorney who just.
Oh, really?
Slick. Yeah, she's very slick. She reminds me of the attorneys for the defense for the Ahmaud Arbery.
Yes. But that's the thing. Being a defense attorney, you don't often get to pick. You do get to pick, but that's you've got one of the ugliest jobs. It can be a wonderful thing, but a heroic type of job. But in this case, it's pretty cut and dried. I don't know. I'll be curious to see what the NRA, the gun lobby, wants to do with this one, because I really, truly do feel that I do think it's sending a big message that people are fed up. And I think across the board, I've seen Republicans, conservatives, everybody kind of being like, I don't know, this is a lot, because it's really challenging your morality about this now. It's kind of like, okay, who do I pick? The crazy parents? I don't know. This is what's going on in people's households. We need to really think about this. These people, what they're doing to their children.
But it's unfortunate, though, that the wing of the Republican Party that has the ear of everyone in the party are the nut jobs who will think this is okay, who will raise money for these parents.
We'll see. We will see. Let's see what happens with that.
So Black Beauty is saying the parents actually plead not guilty. Shameful, just shameful.
And they were laughing during the arraignment.
Yeah.
Wow.
The father was laughing.
Black Beauty says seems to be a twisted, disturbing pattern of kids in America actually seeming not answering to the parents and actually setting the pace standard instead of the parents. Twisted pattern.
Because parents want to get hung up on the most ridiculous things in this country. You know, they want to talk about how you have to say him, they, her, she, we, it, all these superfluous things that, yes, I know they matter for everybody's identity, search and identity, but they're not paying attention to their kids. They're all online. They're freaking online. Pay attention to your children, people. Put the phone down. You know, it's amazing. People would rather choose somebody out online, and they've got a household of kids and family members that need to eat and all these things, and they are not focused on their own lives. They are focused on everybody but their own life. And unfortunately, the kids, and also, if you have a complaining society, no matter where you take them in the world, they'll find something to complain about and be upset about. This is just, you know, and it's actually ridiculous. I don't even get it anymore. But all I know is that they could have gun laws in place, and those are the kind of parents that would still give their son a Glock for Christmas.
We go through this.
And okay, the mom did not look like her search picture. Okay, what the hell? What year did they find that picture from?
Well, that's the other thing that really
she did not look like that. I wouldn't.
Pictures that the media started putting out
of the kid,
this boy, and like my best friend in Maryland was
15,
telling me,
he looked like he was 8.
Yeah, and my friend was telling me, she's like, yeah, local news here called him the baby face killer. Like,
they do it every time, though.
Yeah, they do
every single mass murderer. They do. They find their youngest pictures. And you know, they must.
You got a picture of him praying.
But here's the thing: they must go through a tremendous amount of effort. This is how, because do you know how difficult it is to find people's children online? I mean, that even sharing things like that, isn't that like kind of a crime? You know,
tells me that they got those pictures probably from the defense attorney.
That's what I'm saying, because
those are parents' pictures.
Absolutely. Those are parents' pictures. Those are things that it's like, well, this like the choir boy? No, it's like people don't even find pictures like that. You go online and you look at their Instagram. How the hell you come up with that picture? It is so planned. It is so orchestrated that it's just BS. I knew the picture was going to look worse than that. I had no idea it was going to look like a dark-haired Chucky. But yes. But I was close.
He did. You're right.
He did. Same mop of hair. And it was crazy because all those pictures do is make me go, damn, that little boy went off the rails and they didn't see it coming down for breakfast. And be like, what's wrong with you, Billy, or whatever?
Like, I mean, my God, of course they didn't see it.
I don't even know. Dad looks like he changed wives because she don't match her driver's license picture or whatever. Seriously,
that looks crazy too.
They look like they pulled that picture back from, 20 years ago because they were indicted on DUIs. So why did they take those pictures when her current driver's license would show how ravaged she looks? She's ravaged. The glasses, she aged in a matter of like, I don't know what happened to her. But that if I worked at the DMV, I would have had to send somebody out on a field visit.
I think this
to make
might be
sure it was the
different
same
too,
person.
though. Because they had those DUI charges. Weren't those considered felonies, and they should not have been able to purchase the gun?
I agree, but I don't know in their state what the deal is, and that's the whole point. And suspended driver's license, the white
That's why we
because
need
they're
federal
driving
gun legislation.
and not just once but twice, and they ended up, really? I mean, do white people just get away with absolutely everything? I mean, they were driving without a license and they didn't. What the hell? They got a $240 fine or a $2,400 fine. That's it? Wow.
I also want to know what ATM machine allowed them to withdraw $4,000.
$4,000. I agree. I was wondering the same thing.
Because tells me that they had to be doing that over the course of a couple of days or something. Because the max what even if like 800, 500, something like
800, right. So the reality is, how much money did they have in that bank account? And what kind of a bank account is it? A business account? I mean, let's just be honest. What's the deal here? Because I'd have to see the receipt on the ATM machine.
Me too.
I would, because that doesn't make sense to me. He killed people, 3 days ago? What, they start like taking money out then?
The same day?
No, and it still wouldn't come up to that.
I would honestly, probably.
You'd only get 6. You'd only get 6,000. What, they had 4, so yeah, maybe, but something's wrong. Definitely.
Crazy. Yeah, that trial is going to be very interesting from a number of dynamics, like the parenting piece, gun control piece, etc., etc. But it's like a soap opera.
It's worse than a soap opera. It's a nightmare.
All my 6 children.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's really, really sad, the children that he killed. And, for me, that's what I was saying. I know people seem to have a problem with the crime bill in America back in the day, but it was looking about like this when they passed that. And I ain't lying. It was just when everybody had no respect for any kind of authority. And unfortunately, we're here again. And that's just the way it is.
Wow. Crazy. Let's continue on. Next conversation. More Omicron detected in U.S. as hospitals strained under virus surge. I'm listening. Is there a real surge going on with this variant? Because I'm hearing a lot of reports, but I'm not hearing a lot of justified reports with numbers of people.
I think we don't know. That's usually the problem, because the virus, before there's a case that's actually detected, it's here. I'm sure we have a lot of people who are getting it but aren't being diagnosed with it.
There's also a crazy regular flu going around right now. A friend of mine had it and was sick for 5 days. Regular flu. It was not COVID. And he said if he had not had a flu vaccine, he would have gone to the hospital. He's convinced. He said it was that bad. So there's a lot going on. And we're also in the middle of flu season. That's the other thing, Dr. Vibe. But I'm with you. I don't know, because don't we have to wait 2 or 3 weeks to see if that's what the issue is with when they watch the data or something? Sorry for cutting you off, Aisha.
Yeah, no, there's 6. It's in 6 states right now. And honestly, some people are probably, you've got a lot of people who probably are sick and not reporting. They can only report what's been tested and reported by medical authorities. So if someone hasn't seen a doctor yet or gone to a hospital, we won't know.
Yeah. True.
And remember how this happened when COVID first showed up. They found it in one place, and then all of a sudden, like within a few days, there's a couple thousand cases.
Right. And it is that transmissible,
And also to remember, it actually started in Europe, not South Africa. It started in Europe, and we did not close our borders to Europe.
No, we didn't.
I don't know what's going to go on with this one, but just a lot of things are bubbling under. Again, there's not a lot of research being done yet, but people saying, "Hey, we're not going to, unless it's really, really bad, we're not going to swing back to like full lockdowns."
I'm really concerned about the East Coast because there are so many international flights that come in through New York City, which is why we got the big spike in the very beginning of the pandemic. Honestly, this no shutting down thing really bites me in the butt because it's like, just shut the country down, because it's not going to kill anyone for us to do it. If anything, it's going to protect people.
The airlines didn't want to. Did you know that? They pushed back so hard, like they did the last time during COVID.
What's killing people is that they want so badly to just act like this does not exist.
And I swear JetBlue has like squeezed in every new seat they could possibly find. It feels like you're flying, like, you know, they're going to just start putting people on the wing. It's really tight. It's tight, and they're all packed. All flights are packed.
And it's just...
And if this is more contagious, then, you know, we have a case in California, and I think it'll be a really good barometer, only because they do know that the person came back November 22nd.
Oh.
They're watching this person, and we'll see and they're doing contact tracing as much as allowed. You know, that was the other failure, that nobody wanted to do contact tracing because they don't want people to know where they are.
Or their health status,
or their whatever. You know, it's a lot. I think that we'll see, but they have been saying it might be milder in what it does to you, but it is far more contagious. But mild is a subjective word. Your mild may not be my mild, or mild to somebody else. And I find it really irresponsible. The media in general, the words they choose, words are really powerful and they're very strong. But, you know, they're either terrifying you or, you know, because what's happening is people are starting to feel like, oh, now y'all just playing us. And, you know, there's a lot of more of the mistrust going on. But this is still yet again serious. I did read that there was a study that came out of Europe that they are seeing more stillbirths, not with everybody who had COVID, but they are seeing it when women who are not vaccinated are having their children. They're seeing a rise in stillbirths.
The bottom line is, this is not going away. It's going to be with us forever. It feels like, because we can't get on one page to get our behaviors together to get rid of it. So there is COVID, period, whatever strain it is going to be, it's part of American life. It's sure. Like, you know, it's part of American life, period.
Wow, that's crazy. Black Beauty saying, according to New York Times, there are now 15 states that have Omicron reported. Too soon to tell the effects. And then Jen is saying, it is disturbing to hear about events that are spreading this new variant, keeping my mask on in public.
Totally. I know, we have to.
And, you know, like I said, see, the reporting, what was it? Friday morning was 6 states. Now it's 15 states. It's right. Going just like the pandemic did in the very beginning, just like the Delta variant did. And it's like, there's nothing we can do. There really is nothing we can do, because we have
we can do things. I mean, we should have always been doing what they do in Hawaii. When you land off the plane, they take your temperature. You have to take a test. And so now they're still doing the implementation. Biden came out where there's going to be tests at the airports for people, but it's voluntary. How important? You think I'll travel 14 hours to come here from Europe to here in LA and then go, oh, I'm going to volunteer to go take a COVID test? Hell no. If I felt okay, I'd go on about my business, because that's how it goes. You want to take the chance that you're asymptomatic and you've got to spend 14 days in quarantine? You really want to do that? Ain't nobody going to be doing that.
And not only that, it's not just the people. It's
unless
not just
the state is requiring that you prove that you are COVID free, which is, like I said, in Hawaii, you have it on your app. There's an app, and when the test comes back, it's a rapid test. But then you get a check mark and then you go and security lets you out. But we don't do that. So it's kind of half-assed. It's like, why are we paying? Taxpayers ultimately will pay for all these tests, voluntary tests, but you're not able to mandate. It makes absolutely no sense to me. It should have always been done, and it's not being done.
But the majority of people spreading it in the country aren't necessarily traveling. It's like if the states pulled back all their mask mandates, and so that creates a whole other issue. And it's like people aren't getting boosted even though they've been vaxxed. There are people who, of course, are still refusing the vaccine. And I mean, doing things like, what was it? Rachel Maddow was talking about this thing called Boo. They were literally putting dirt on their faces and on their babies, dirt that had like things like arsenic and carbon dioxide and things like that.
These kids should sue their parents when they grow up.
And because they think that that's
they
going
probably
to be
will.
better in keeping them from getting COVID than getting the vaccine. That's free, mind you. They're paying $114 per 4 ounces for this Boo stuff when the vaccine is free.
Because it's an opportunity for other people to make money. It's like, Vita Vita Vegemin. It's like, anybody, any snake oil salesman is out for their own right now. And hey, if you get the rumor going enough, then you can maybe make this happen. It's so interesting. I was watching something on the Shah of Iran, a documentary about his wife. And it was a documentary about her and, definitely what an incredible woman. Because some people know what their role in life is and they try to always have their dignity about them. And I do respect her for that. I think that she made a comment about, communism coming into Iran at one point. You have to look at the time of any place when you're looking back on an issue or a thing, you look back and go, I mean, we've all looked back at the Spanish War or the Spanish flu and been like, well, this is how they acted. But what's so interesting is that Russia has been pulling so many propaganda stunts for a very long time. They did it in Iran. They've done it because everybody wanted to have access to the Persian Gulf. I mean, we know these things. It's been proven over and over and over. They hoodwinked everybody into believing that the revolution was going to buy them a chance to have freedom of expression. And of course, the Ayatollah Khomeini came in. Whether America placed him there or not, I'm not entirely, it's possible. But you've got to remember, this is big politics at the end of the day. We are dealing with those types of situations, and propaganda has always been a part of it. But at the end of the day, in this documentary, you see where these two women come together, equally impacted by the revolution, and each one at two different sides of the polarity here. So when we look at COVID and we look at all these anti-vaxxers and doing the crazy stuff you're saying, Aisha, it's absolutely, it will come back to haunt people if they, these children have lead in their blood, if there's any of this. And, it just is going to take time for these things to blossom and happen right before our eyes. And
wow, this is not playing.
And it's not. It's like we are really under attack in this country from misinformation and also greed. And also there's a ton of people, reason they don't go to work, they're making more money lying online. Yeah, they're making more money with a YouTube channel, just lying about shit. And they need to take it down. If I report something, but then again, now the new thing in the LA Times had an article today about bots going after people on TikTok. And they're hacking into people because they don't want them to make money.
Okay,
so your competitor can come for you. So everything is a counter ops thing going on in our country. If Aisha has a great company and we're both selling, tissue, or we're both selling ivermectin or whatever, I can send out things to attack, get her stuff pulled offline by reporting it because they're so overwhelmed now. They put a ton of bots on you to report you. And so how this is happening is social media can't even keep up with how to go, well, somebody, all you have to say now is, I'm offended by this. So we're at a really interesting crossroads because now it's going to start affecting people in their commerce. And I mean, just so look at the levels that it's going into, and people are making a lot of money off of misery. So with the anti-vaxxers and this Omicron, it's going to be around a long time. And I'm here to say with Aisha that it is. We also have a very ignorant subset of people in this country that don't understand viruses. And I've told you, they don't. And they don't understand medicine or anything. And it's never going to change because they're all putting crap in, and also apophenia, a lot of seeing connections. And now I've started calling it the Tess McGill syndrome, where everybody thinks they're in Working Girl and putting things together. And this is what happened. And this is how this merger goes. And this is how this went. And so-and-so went to dinner. It's the Tess McGill syndrome. Everybody online and their nonsense about the connections. I'm like, go to hell, Sorry for my rant.
It's
but
all right.
I mean, with this virus, it's absolutely, we have to deal with our masks,
And the bottom line for us, the biggest problem for us in this country is that they have politicized it.
Totally.
They have politicized it. And Marjorie Taylor Greene with her big old head out here talking about how
bowling ball.
Hundreds of people die from cancer, and people are like, cancer's not complete. So of course the right people come back and talk about HPV, but guess what? There's a vaccine for that.
There is. And my neck hurts every time I look at Marjorie Taylor Greene, because her neck is doing a lot of work. But
she looks like a Neanderthal. I'm sorry.
I got that Herman Munster head. But I really feel like, it's we're in a really dark place, but there's always somebody who is going to find somebody online to chime in. It's like right now on Twitter, I'm getting attacked for some stuff. And you know what? I'm like, here we go. And they're going to have a cavalcade, people marching through to attack me. And I'm like,
oh gosh,
you all really think I'm so over this stuff?
People who eat laundry detergent.
Oh my God.
But then, we also just want to be enraged and not have conversations. We all want to talk half nonsense. I said something completely untrue and ridiculous on a post.
Yeah.
And people act like it's true. I don't know what the hell it was. I don't care. I mean, actually, how ridiculous is that? It's like, this is how stupid you people will waste all your time all night. And, I'm just going to keep throwing anything at the wall. Because at the end of the day, it's like, go get your life. Go get a life. Why are you out here on a Saturday night on Twitter?
It's like everybody on social media is trying to get noticed, get their 15 minutes, just like some newspaper catches their comment. It's like, guess what? I've had them catch my comments before. Once it didn't go down too well with an employer. So, yeah.
They're also making money off of it and monetizing, just making cheap shots at people. And it's disgusting because,
getting followers behind it, and that's in boosting their online popularity. But I bet you when you go and look at their offline lives, these people are probably the loneliest.
And also they're probably got the same damn problems on the shit they're commenting about, like they're criticizing. I find that, what a not very joyful person to be around. And I'm kind of reaching a point where, I don't really care. I'd have to care a lot. I am a, 50-something-year-old woman who at this point, don't at me and don't try to dress me down about, the era. this terminology is not used anymore. Oh, you know what? Terminology will always be work. And I won't say it on here. Right. Exactly. You understand that, or do you want to change it too? We're at a really weird problem in this country.
Well,
but nobody understands each other.
Everybody wants to be right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And everybody, and the thing about social media is that people they search for consensus for their
approval,
opinions and their approval. And if you come with a dissenting opinion, or you pose another question or wonder about things, they try to make sure that people will jump on you.
Yeah,
and it's a vicious place to be. Guess what? The real world that people actually live in is hard enough.
Absolutely.
This artificial world is now becoming an uncomfortable space, and it just shouldn't be. That's why
like a bunch of freaking nobodies. I don't know who half these people are, and
it's like, and you don't know me.
You don't know me. So why would you believe everything I'm saying?
You're acting like you're reading my life, and you don't know me.
Okay, let's say, well, obviously the social. Well, we have to have do an episode just on the impact of social media, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
We do, but and I'd be curious to speak with everybody, who's watching, about what they're going through and how they actually feel about, dealing with this nonsense, because at the end of the day, it's going to keep continuing where it's escalating, where, oh my God, what happened this week? But we still need to uplift each other in order to get through it. And a part of that is like, there is a cutoff point, and there is like something about this isn't always real.
So Black Beauty is saying, I'm so glad I don't have social media anymore.
Yeah, it's true. It's not a bad thing.
And I've read some reports saying that the people who are on it a lot are susceptible to having some emotional challenges. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, you can't even say mental issues anymore, but you're right. But they were also saying, like, I read a little bit more about apophenia which is the Tess McGill syndrome, that it's like the beginning stages in some ways of schizophrenia, different forms of it, where people then the paranoid schizophrenia. These are things we also have to remember. 74% of Americans have been totally fed an abundance of pills, and a lot of them couldn't afford it anymore. There's got to be so many fractured psyches out there that I don't even know if they'll ever come back.
On that note, we're going to take a quick break so we can refresh ourselves. Let me leave it at that. Refresh ourselves. And we'll be back in a few moments on State of Things with Aisha and Jill. Keep it locked and keep the comments coming, folks. So we'll be back in just a moment. Go. So, ladies, what is going on?
Just that he needs to get it together.
Sick of that. I am sick of it.
Something is seriously wrong with you.
Why is he still there?
She shouldn't be near Congress.
You need an exorcism, because I don't know what is wrong with you people.
It was so powerful.
And I really wish everybody would stop bowing down to this.
What is he talking about? This makes no sense.
They know they are not the oppressed party, but they love being the superior ones, and they want to flaunt it.
So it was always made political, particularly for people of color and the LGBTQ population.
We end off every episode with a cockroach. This episode's cockroach.
Everything.
Everything?
All the things are going on.
All the things?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are back.
And
Jill's back with us. Yeah, Jill will be back in just a moment. No problem. So, want to just catch up on some comments? Tamara is saying this. People don't know how to communicate face-to-face anymore. I agree 100%
they
on
sure
that.
Don't. And you know what's so funny about that, Dr. Vibe, is that people who know me know better. They know I don't call people period, because I prefer face-to-face contact. So people, I always tell people, it's like people I've known for years, you have to kind of call me or text me or something to nudge me, because unless I'm not going to pick up the phone, because I prefer to see people face to face. And that's just that conversation skill that people used to have, like the kitchen table talks that people used to have, they just aren't having anymore. And it's like everything people do is through social media, and it's people don't know how to interact with one another. It's like, because they don't know how to interact with one another on that level, people lack compassion and empathy.
And this shit, Tamara's also saying, for some people, if it doesn't generate likes or shares or retweets, then it's not real.
Right. But this kind of bizarre bonding that people are doing over the victimizing themselves is, I just can't get with that. I'm from a different generation. I don't understand it. You know, I don't. I find that what it highlights to me is just how, you know, they want to identify with only a small sect. Everybody's got cult mentality. Like, I have this issue, so I want to be in this tribe only. And I've never been that way. I believe everybody can all get along and chill, but this whole like insulating yourself. Yes, I have a lot of great empathy for things, but if I'm your friend, I'm not going to let you wallow in your bullshit. I just would never do that.
But not only that, you know what? I have my people, my friends, and guess what? My friendships exist outside of the social media.
A lot of people it doesn't.
And for a lot of people it does not. And I think, you know, for example, stuff between me and Jill, or things I want to talk to, or even jokes that we don't make them across Twitter.
And if you did, oh my. Because folks, I hear some of them. Like I said, if we want to make some money, the edits and what we say in the green room, you ain't gonna get exposure to that unless you at least come on the program once.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I will text Jill directly or call Jill, or I mean, it's usually like that. It's never, oh, let me go to Twitter and share this. It's like, I don't want other people witnessing our conversation.
I know.
Exactly. Well, let's go to another. Well, it's just got a comment here. Let's see what we got as a comment here. Tamara's saying it's like high school cliques. Everyone wants or needs to belong to a group. I think some people are not courageous enough to be individuals. Very interesting comment.
It's not about individuality anymore. They don't. I was always raised to be, but the minute they've created this thing, follow me, you follow people. That's the problem.
Well, also, a lot of these people are developmentally delayed, where they are trying to they're trying to fix things in their lives that were not the way that they wanted them before. So, for example, you have people who are wildly popular on Twitter just for their tweets, but I bet you, and they're loving it. But I bet you if you go back in their lives and you look at were they popular in high school or middle school, whatever, it's like they're getting that now, but they didn't get back then, and they feed into it, and they become a monster. They become part of the problem. And I just think that people try so hard to live a life on social media that is inauthentic of the one that they live in real life.
True. Absolutely.
With me, you get what you get.
Well, I know that from both of you. Both of you. That's why I have you on all the time. Straight shooters. Let's go to a subject that definitely is getting a lot of Twitter, a lot of social media coverage these days. Anti-abortion advocates in America thrilled with the possibility of overturning Roe versus Wade.
Yeah.
I mean, same people who, and let's be very clear, these people are not pro-choice. They are pro-birth. And they're not really even pro-birth. They're pro-embryos. Because if they were pro-life, fully pro-life, they would make sure that there was health care for women prenatal care, sufficient prenatal care, adequate prenatal care. They'd make sure that women who just gave birth to a baby could take time off from work and be paid. They would make sure that no child went hungry. They would make sure that children didn't have to go to school and worry about being shot to death. These are not pro-life people. They are pro-embryo people.
Jill?
I think because it's come up again, just universally, I don't think that it was resolved under the sun, so to speak. I don't think that abortion was entirely the answer, nor do I think that the whole pro-life thing is the answer, because I think that, and I've changed a little bit on this because I was like, why is it back? I mean, why? I don't think that there's a lot of hypocrisy that goes on both sides. On one hand, we're saying, you can't tell us what to do with our bodies, but we want everybody to get vaccinated. That is a valid something just ethically, and just to look at and go, you got to walk your walk and talk your talk. I know it's not pleasant to hear, but what we have to decide what kind of society we want to be. I think the Republicans are quite clear on the type of society they want. I think they're very consistent.
Yeah.
Why the Democrats fall apart is because of something called having a conscience when you're trying to accommodate absolutely everybody in a society. And that's difficult because this is a philosophical topic as well as definitely for the society in general. But yeah, we're dealing with, it's worth a conversation as far as like, what were the abuses that have been going on in the abortion system? Not the people abusing. I'm talking about each state was using the money in different ways and whatever. And then on another level, but you do have the hypocrisy in the Republican Party where if they're choosing to eat meat, use stem cells, all of that. So basically that's pro-life. That's not pro-life. If you want to be pro-life, you will forego all of those things. You will be like, no. So all of us should be able to look at ourselves at this boat and say, okay, we're all sitting here, and each component here, it is like Jenga. It's like pulling something and going, what can we do to prevent? It's like with gun laws and gun control, anti-abortion. The way I feel you kind of keep abortion at a minimum, and actually it is at a minimum in this country at the moment. More pills and the things that what is it?
Any birth control kind of.
Yeah, birth
advice.
control and the education of it. I don't think many young people want to be pregnant these days anyway. I don't see a lot of it moving in that direction, but I'm in an urban area, so the young people are a lot different than people in rural communities, hooking up or trying to find a way to enable their livelihood. But there's a lot of dishonesty. It has gone down. And I think that there's just a lot of dishonesty. I do feel that, we have other topics like euthanasia. We have a lot of things that, we'll put animals down. There's so many conflicting things that are ethically something that we need to have a big discussion about. And each side needs to concede that the other one has equally something to share about that. You can't just say, oh, Amy Coney Barrett, let's just give your kid up for adoption. That's not an option either, because go really give me the numbers on how many kids stay in the foster care system and let me really see what you're planning. So that's not pro-life either. So the people are so easy to criticize, but the solutions are what's so bad. It's not just we haven't elevated to the solution and the mindset of what we need to do. So at this point, I would say leave as is and, table it until later, but they're not going to do that. The Republicans are very clear what they want to do, but the Democrats have to push back on other issues then to challenge that. These people feel that they are the king of the kings in Christianity, and we get to eat animals. We get to do this. But the stem cell stuff is very spot on here. because you cannot be pro-life and doing anything surgically or anything if you are taking in stem cells, because we know that's from embryos. So how they rationalize that in their minds, I don't know. It's not an easy decision for anybody.
All right. Let's move on to we have a last conversation topic and a question that our audience wants both of you to answer, but I'm saying it to the end. But Simone Sanders, senior advisor to Vice President Kamala Harris, is leaving her post. And the reason why we're bringing this up, this is the second representative of Ms. Harris that has departed, because it's a second one come because in November, Harris's communications chief, Ashley Etienne, a veteran of the Obama administration, also announced that she would leave. So, ladies, what's going on with Kamala Harris and her vice president time? What's going on? Two major people leave.
But this is a non-issue, and I'll tell you why. Because it's the comms department. Simone only said she was going to stay a year. She's sticking to what she said. If you look at Obama's administration, most comms departments that come in with a president do not stay. That is the most open door. It's like people come in and out and cycle in and out because you have your team that's there to help you get through the first year. And then you create another team that comes behind. People are are making more of this than what it is. Two people, yeah. But think about how many people Trump had turnover. What was it that Rachel had?
Wow.
Turnover. He didn't even hire. He didn't even give people jobs.
But no, remember, there were like close to 400 people that had left his administration.
That's a good point.
And he never replaced them. Yeah.
But Simone said she was staying for a year. Period. Jen
Psaki's going to be leaving soon too.
Exactly. And they all committed to that first year. If you look at Obama's administration, remember David Plouffe and what's his name? The guy with the mustache.
I know who you're talking about with the dark hair.
Dan.
I
want to call him Dan Aykroyd, but it's not.
No.
Axelrod, David Axelrod.
Yes, David Axelrod.
They were his first communications people right off the bat coming in. Their part is to help with the transition. That's all their role really is to help with the transition. And now they get a permanent team in and they do a handoff. And that's what's happening here. I think it's being made a bigger deal of, look, for example, the Washington Post wrote this story. Well, the Washington Post, we know, is more of a right-leaning
Murdoch. Isn't it Rupert Murdoch owned?
No, Washington Post is Amazon.
No, but it is a right-leaning publication. So it's a matter of where the story is coming from. Well, people see it in the Washington Post, other journalists, and they're like, oh, Washington Post credibility, not realizing that a lot of their pieces have tended to sway to the right as of the last 6 years, especially. So they jump on the same stories. Oh, she's leaving, so there must be something wrong. And it's just the regular way of things. When Simone went in, she said she was staying for the first year. She said she did not commit to any more than the first year. Well, guess what? I bet you she's going to move on. Do you think that they're going to let her go? Like you said behind things. She's going somewhere else. And she's going somewhere else because what she does is she helps get candidates elected. Right. So
she's very good at it.
And she's very good at it. And there are other candidates who are running in major races in 2022 that need her assistance.
Right. And so I think they're just mobilizing people.
They're just moving them around.
Okay. All right. Well, there is a question. Of course, who else is asking? Black Beauty has this question. Last conversation piece. As our society continues to be plagued with crime, nefarious plots, and schemes, our nation will continue to spin out of control. Will we snap out of this as a nation?
I look at the generations behind us and I have very little hope. I look at the generations that are here and the craziness, and I have very little hope. This is who we are. This is it.
Yeah. They don't know how to get along with anybody else. It's too tribal, and I don't know if it's cliquish, as Tamara had said. I think that, the fact that our authority has been turned, our generals, our politicians, our leadership, our thought leaders have been reduced to nothing more than high school arguments. I think it's really diminished our standing, just globally. I honestly think the feel sorry for me crowd, all of that. I was bullied as a kid. It's like they don't have any. There's no feel good stories. I think that a couple of the generations below are absolute sociopaths. So yeah, I mean, it's so funny. This little lady that I know, she's like a landlady and she's elderly. A friend of mine was trying to help her because she has a tenant who's 25 and won't go and stole some stuff in her house. She caught him. All this craziness going on. And what's really, really sad is that I looked at his Instagram page and I said, just give him the money and buy, because don't pick this battle to die on. These people are pazzo. And I keep saying, and this is where we are. It's like, really, really, I was like, this kid is like 25 and crazy, completely mad as a hatter. And, and this is a vulnerable little lady and her sister who they rent their apartments in Brooklyn. So in my mind, we're at this is going to be really interesting. I mean, you see what parents they have. Look at this 15-year-old who killed everybody. I mean, look at the parents. That's the other stock they're coming from. It's like I honestly, Black Beauty, I just don't know. I think it's time to shore up what you can do and try to see the world. Find one thing every day that's beautiful to look at and think about, and the rest of it, just, take care of your stuff, because this stuff is going to go on and on and on. And they're not evolving. They're not growing. I don't know.
I don't have time for people's bull. I'm trying to work on me right now. I got some things I want to accomplish.
Yes, you are. You look fabulous.
In the next 12 months, I don't have the time or the patience for other people's stuff. It's like, yeah, like what you were talking about, the bullying. Guess what? A lot of us have gone through it. A lot of us have suffered through depression, anxiety, whatever. But we get up every day and we pick our feet up and we put one foot in front of the other and keep going. And, a lot of us bury a lot of stuff. We have to in order to function. But the point is to function. And guess what? A lot of us do so in silence.
But they're depressing themselves. Their own generations are killing themselves, depressing each other, going online. They're driving each other crazy. Let's face it. I'm older. I'm a boomer technically. So, what the hell? I don't have to live here in like 50 years. Probably, seriously, let's be honest. But the reality is, oh my God, these people will be tearing each other's eyeballs out soon, because they're just that uncompromising, unyielding, intolerant, greedy. It's like they're hypocritical. They want to save the planet on many, many levels, and all of them are like, signing up for Bitcoin. Go figure. Bitcoin, to fund the whole process, can light up Serbia, the country, just for the processes. I mean, these people can't even check themselves. It's like, check yourself, check your hypocrisy at the door. And I don't know if it won't happen until they have children that look at their ineptness and their whininess and all these things. And you mark my words, because every generation turns around and surprises it's the one that was before it. And you go, who the hell are you? But just as equally, they'll have a moment. They might have the most conservative kids coming out their wombs and vaginas, since they're all going to not be able to have abortions. God only knows what they're going to be left with.
Look, all I know is I am proud of being a latchkey generation kid. Didn't eat Tide Pods for breakfast.
Yes.
I learned compassion.
Right.
I learned empathy. I didn't live my whole life on this.
No.
You know, I had the freedom. Guess what? I feel sorry for anybody who's had their 20s in the last 20 years.
Right.
Period. And I was in my 20s 20 years ago, okay? But those early parts,
No.
I got to be free. I never had to worry about anyone, on a camera taping anything that I did by accident, or, unless they pulled out one of those pocket cameras.
And you could tell by the music that they listen to where their brains are. Their brains are about as nourishing as not even as nourishing as cat food or dog food. It's like, they fester and feed on negativity. So it's like, there's a song, SZA, I Hate You. I mean, really? I mean, okay, I did a song called G-Spot, okay, at the end of the day. But, fast forward that, it's like how we really, we really do have to start checking ourselves on some of the shit, It's ridiculous. It's like, how is that going to uplift anybody? It's just like they're not even caring about uplifting. It's like, feel my pain, look at my blood.
Didn't we learn from Prince's version of I Hate You already?
Exactly. So this is the whole, and they're not artful. They hardly know how to play instruments. Don't even get me started. There's like
no, we'll stop. We'll stop there. We'll stop on that. Okay.
We've produced
God, it's so embarrassing.
Produced 2 generations of robots.
We have. And now, but wait, they found out robots are actually making babies of their own.
Reproducing.
So get this, it's coming, and they won't need all this. If I start having to hire people, I might hire, a robot. Ain't me. We'll see. I might have a more intelligent
Jetsons.
Might have more of an intelligent conversation.
Rosie the robot from
Totally. I loved Rosie.
I haven't heard that reference in forever. Rosie the robot.
Dating ourselves.
Oh my! Oh, and Ella. Oh my goodness, Rosie the robot.
Yep.
Imagine that. Isn't that what America's supposed to look like in the 2000?
Yeah, I think so. Right.
Oh goodness, that's hilarious, Rosie the robot.
Yeah, we're at a really interesting crossroads here. Like I said, just to get yourself through things, just spend very little time getting upset on this stuff, because it changes minute by minute.
What else is really great to help people? Get a vision board.
I agree.
It really changes your outlook on life, and you really set goals and things, and you find what's meaningful. There are great vision board kits that you can find online, but just have some goals that are outside of.
One thing I will add for Black Beauty, and she says, thank you for your insight, ladies. I totally agree with your answers. This is what I'm hearing over and over amongst colleagues, friends, and associates. One thing, I'll just make a suggestion. When you get up in the morning, just focus on the one thing you have to get done each day.
Yeah.
Block out all the noise. The one thing you have to get done. And also celebrate your wins. Don't wait. Don't matter how big or small they are. Even getting out of the bed, celebrate it, because you're either going to be your worst enemy or your best friend.
It's true.
Yeah, it's one thing that I've learned over the years is like, I wake up in a good mood every morning. It's what I do throughout that day and the people I allow myself to come in contact with throughout the day that change and alter my mood.
Right. And I find that the word no is a good one, because a lot of times we tell people you need to set boundaries and you need to tell people where you are. But sometimes just the act of saying no without any explanation or whatever, you've already set a boundary. It's
Yeah.
like that's the boundary of like, and they will know in the future, oh, I can't engage with that. Because sometimes, you're talking to people and they're gossiping on the phone or whatever, and you're like, I gotta go. We should try to lift each other up. There's only so much of this we can take.
Sure.
And there is only so much. And it really is try to keep that circle strong. And if you need to like break down. But this thing is being devised for you to drain you completely of your money, of your mental resources, of all your resources. So you've got gold and you got to protect it. And gold is your soul. Protect it.
Great advice from the ladies. Just, man, on top. And Rosie the robot. Actually, the voice of, and it was a lady named Jean Vonderpill.
Oh, was it?
Yes, who was the voice of Rosie the robot.
Oh, how cute. I love that show.
And also, too, guess what famous voice actor was Mr. Spacely's voice?
Who?
Same man. No, same man who did Bugs Bunny.
Oh, Mel Blanc.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I could see that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, incredible voice actor, Mel Blanc. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he was
very, very
phenomenal.
good stuff. Well,
phenomenal.
And Blackie says, amen. I pray a lot and allow myself grace. That's a key thing. Give yourself grace, especially during these times. And then Jen says, great conversation is always totally on point. Thank you, Jen, for your continuous support. We appreciate it and don't take it for granted. So that's another epic conversation. I wonder who's going to get fired from what network next week. We'll find that out.
Right?
who's gonna mess up next week? But always big thanks to Aisha and Jill for taking time on their positive, productive schedules to share with us. And as always, we ask them, how is the best way to get in contact? And we go to Jill Verst.
There it is, Jill D. Jones, right there.
Yes.
Yes, that's where you can find me.
Excellent. With those lovely Twitter people. And then next up, Aisha Staggers.
Aisha Staggers on Twitter. I might be there, might not.
All right. And myself, you can get a hold of me. The best place is the Dr. Vibe Show, the drvibeshow.com or Twitter at drvibeshow.com. Like to say thank you for everyone who caught this live. We're going to catch it on the replay. Shout out to people who caught it live tonight. We had Jen, Black Beauty, Tamara, and others. And you know what? Thanks so much. We appreciate it, not taken for granted. I know there's only a few weeks left in this year. I'm speaking that we're going to do another Ask Us Anything before the end of the year. I think that would be apropos. And I guess we'll also have to get ready for a end of the year show, 2021 year in review show. So we got to get those things on the calendar. But as always, let's close out with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember, as Black Beauty said, remember to give yourselves grace. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself. All things being blessed. We'll see you next week, next Saturday evening at December 11th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for State of Things with Aisha and Jill. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith. And shed a tear for Chris and his brother. Bye.